All I do is punt.
Best offensive player and their best defensive player.
Welcome to the Outback to Endzone Podcast. Today we had two special guests from Indiana University, National Championship winner Mitch McCarthy and new transfer Indiana punter Billy Gowers. How good was that?
Mate, incredible chat with the boys. It was really cool to hear the perspective of Mitch, who's been in the Indiana program for a couple of years now, to Billy, who's a new transfer on campus. He hasn't even played a game there yet.
Yeah, it was awesome, and you can clearly tell that they're good mates already and created a pretty special bond, and I can't wait to see what Bill does. He's already shown that he's going to have a really successful career at least college, but definitely with the potential of making it to the pros. And Mitchy sort of touched a bit on the celebrations of the big Indiana University win, which was awesome. And then just getting to talk through Billy's story. Like, he's gone from Carlton, delisted in 2 years, VFL dominating, playing for the Bulldogs, delisted, dominating the VFL again. And then instead of, I guess, taking the route a lot of ex-AFL players do and just take a little bit of cash at local footy, he sort of said, nah, I'm going to challenge myself once again and do something completely new. As he said himself, he doesn't know much about American football. He just wanted to get involved and give it a go. And he's dominating that area too. So it was just awesome to chat with him.
100%. And like what a lot of people don't know is Billy Gowers this year, freshman season, highest graded PFF special teamer across the whole nation. So that to win that award of being graded that high as a freshman, completely nuts. There's going to be big things on the horizon for this man, and you'll find he'd be quite humble and talk down his performances, but don't get him wrong, like he is an absolute superstar.
He's the best to do it in college football, and we cannot wait to see what he does. So enjoy the listen. Instead of us waffling on, we'll let the boys take it away.
Dan, let's rip into it.
Welcome to the Outback to Endzone Podcast. We're lucky enough to be joined with two Indiana Hoosier punters, Mitch McCarthy and Billy Gowers. Welcome along, boys.
Thanks, gents. Thanks for having us.
How good is this, fellas? We got the 2-for-1 today. Boys, tell us about Bloomington. Billy, for yourself, like how you settle in, mate. And Mitch, what's it been like for you after winning the Natty?
Getting to Bloomington, arrived and it was straight into a massive snowstorm. So it was a completely different sort of weather environment to obviously Hawaii. And I was back in Australia over Christmas and New Year's. So yeah, the weather was definitely a big comparison, but it's been awesome since getting here. Having Mitch by my side and sort of showing me the ropes a bit has been really good.
I guess the whole vibe of the city, Mitch, having been there for a while now, would be sort of different for yourself being around the city for the whole time, but Billy coming from a completely different place to Indiana. Could you explain what's the buzz around the city for someone that sort of hasn't been there?
Oh, yeah, it's sort of, I actually arrived at a really interesting time. It was leading into I think you guys had just won the game before the national championship. So
Peach Bowl,
the Peach Bowl. So I reckon I arrived maybe a day. I got on the flight from LA to Indianapolis, and I was watching the boys play against who university? Oregon.
Yeah,
they were absolutely smoking him. So it was a funny sort of flight. I just didn't really know because I couldn't watch the rest of the game. I was rolling in going.
I actually think I was messaging him in the locker rooms at halftime.
Yeah, he was texting me.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on here? So, yeah, I got on the flight thinking, wow, the team that I'm about to get to is going to a national championship. And obviously there was a lot of hype around him already. But then I arrived and had the full week preparation. We weren't involved in the prep for the national championship game, but we were still in the facility and sort of meeting all the coaches and seeing all the players around. So it was a bit surreal for me, to be honest. But and then, obviously once they won, I actually went into the facility and watched the national championship game with a few of the other transfer boys and then rolled out. And there was about 500, I sent you videos actually, there was about 500 police cars and policemen surrounding the stadium.
He sent me literally SWAT cars with like mounted machine guns on top.
It was
crazy.
Yeah. They were obviously expecting like all the students to sort of swarm the field.
I got told it was because they were protecting the uprights, the field goal posts.
Wow.
Because they were concerned that they heard whispers that people were going to come in and rip them down. I don't know how you get it out of the stadium. It's a normal 6'8" door frame, so I don't know how people are getting it out. But that's what I got told, is they're trying to stop people from ripping down the uprights.
Yeah, so that was sort of crazy. The first week I was here was experiencing all the hype around the game, and then obviously once they won, it was pretty crazy. And then literally probably 2 or 3 days later, Mitch was sort of back in, and the excitement and all the emotions were sort of happening, but it was pretty much straight back to work for the guys who were returning and the coaches.
Yeah, I think for me, and I said it today to one of the trainers, I just said, I feel bad for some of the boys that are coming back, because Sig is so, and this is a good thing, by the way, this is why Sig is so good at what he does. The boys are already back into like next season. The motto's been like, this new team has done shit all. They're 0-0. Whereas so Billy's just like, this team's done nothing, and like we're 0-0. We're just an average team. Whereas I get to finish on a high and be like, yep, 16-0, like we did it. So I get to really just bathe in all the glory and all that right now, because I'm obviously focusing on my pro day and all that stuff. But I get to enjoy it. Whereas Sig is already drilling into these guys like, forget about it next season. So it kind of sucks for the boys. The returning boys. And for me, I feel pretty fortunate that I get to finish on that note.
Was the celebrations like, Mitch? I mean, we spoke to you before the national championship, and you said that it's been a little bit, they were a bit subdued before the Natty Championship. But run the listeners through the Natty Championship celebrations.
I actually was a bit surprised. So like I compare it to so I lived in Richmond when Richmond won in 2017, the granny, and when they completely shut down Swan Street and Bridge Road. Like for me, like, because we won, and then we didn't actually get home until the following day, like about 8 p.m., maybe even later. So we didn't actually get to, like, we won, everyone went out and we were on the town having beers, having fun, celebrating. We missed all that. We were in Miami and we had a curfew of like 3 a.m. Maybe 2 or 3 people made it back in time. But we kind of missed that celebration window. So when we got back, the whole town was just Indiana, obviously, like flags, and you can see beer cans everywhere. And it looked like that people had celebrated, but we kind of missed out on it a little bit. And we did have a couple like follow-up kind of pub visits. We go in, they have a section off for us. Like even Billy was able to jump in on that and get some free beers, which was good. But yeah, it's more, even now, like people I've got some classes now where people are like, oh, like no one knows me. No one should know me. I'm the punter, but even people are noticing me. So it means a lot when people know who the punter is. So yeah, these guys love it, and it means even more to the older folk, people that have graduated 20, 30 years ago that have been a part of the program and haven't seen much success.
I just want to cut you off before you go too far. I don't know if you've seen Jack Settleman from Snapback Sports, Mitch, but he posted a thing about one of your punts that he reckons won Indiana the game. So don't sell yourself too short.
Yeah, that actually, it's funny. As soon as that punt happened, we drew it up. We knew they had that drawn up as some sort of return. So even during the week in prep, we had on my punt periods, I'd punt there and we'd have someone set up randomly that the coaches would like throw in there and see if our punt team picked up on it, which we did. But they fucking ran it. Like they ran it. Like it happened. And then we get over to the sideline and Coach Kane, my coordinator, we get the tablets and we go through the previous play. And he's losing his shit. He circled it. I fucking told you. I told you. So he knew it was coming. It came, and I was just fortunate that I really got onto it and kind of got it nice and close to the numbers. And Malik is his name Malik Tony, right?
Malachi Tony, yeah.
Same thing. I just know it's Tony. I don't know that Tony name still scares the crap out of me. So he just caught it, and I knew he was going to return it. So our emphasis was on hang time, and I knew I probably drove it a little too much. As soon as I saw him chuck his hands up to catch it, I went, here we go. But our coverage was, fantastic and was able to kill it, at the 5-yard line, I think. So very fortunate for a good coverage unit and, everyone working together prevented that play, which, they would have been one out with me. That guy who was on the opposite side with the lateral pass would have been one out with me. So that may have been an almost guaranteed touchdown if it was one-on-one with me.
I remember you speaking like the week before and you were saying like, how whenever he was going, like if it was going to be a fair catch, he was like losing his shit and he was like sort of punching his helmet and stuff. So we'll look out for the whole.
Yeah. He's a very, I mean, what is he, 18 years old, isn't he? So I think he's going to have a very successful career, whatever he does. But yeah, he's a superstar. He kind of tore us to pieces. But we have a really good corner called D'Angelo Pons. He just performed at the combine yesterday and did really well. So he did a really good guy.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 43.5 inches. So, yeah, he's going to have a very good career also. So, just so many talented names in that game, especially with the combine. You see so many of these boys popping up in there. So, awesome experience and great game to be a part of.
So good, mate. Well, we're going to call a bit of an audible on what we're going to go through today because we weren't expecting to have Mitchy boy, but honestly, we're stoked to have you as well.
Probably should have updated you, but it's all good.
That's all right. I guess jumping into your background, Billy, your old man, he was a premiership player for the Hawks and you grew up in like a very football family. What was that like for you growing up?
Yeah, it's sort of funny looking back now. It feels like 4 or 5 lifetimes ago when I was, back in Melbourne, even playing for Port Melbourne. That feels like forever ago. So even thinking back to as a kid is even longer. Look, it wasn't an abnormal childhood by any means. I didn't really have any understanding until probably later on that obviously dad had played footy and his dad had played footy as well. So for me as a kid, it was just whatever it was. So obviously grew up absolutely loving AFL football and was always sort of surrounded by it. So dad obviously played, but then after his playing career, he sort of he coached a little bit for the Old Zavarians in the VAFA. So I was sort of always around, older guys who were playing football. So yeah, as a kid, it was really fun and enjoyable and something that I sort of still today try and look at is the enjoyment factor. So yeah, as a kid, loved footy and always sort of prioritize that probably over school. Mitch and I have had a few conversations about this. Prioritizing footy as a kid was a big thing. Yeah, had an awesome childhood and yeah, as I say, it probably wasn't something that I sort of noticed that I was part of a football family. But yeah, the older I've gotten, the more I sort of realized.
Growing up in like such a footy family, was it a clear goal for you? Was it always AFL? Was that what you were aiming for?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely was. Even I remember, I don't know. I don't even know what age I would have been, but early days at school, I sort of always prioritized footy, whether it was, under 9s, under 10s, whatever it was. But yeah, obviously as the Aussie rules gets more serious, getting into sort of Oakley charges, that kind of stuff, it was always a priority. So I don't know what age I probably decided in my head that I really wanted to pursue it as hopefully a career, but yeah, it was always front of mind.
I think that's so awesome for like young fellas or young girls who are like growing up that I know it would have been the same for you, Mitch, because you were gun basketball when you were like 14, 15. For like me and Adam growing up as well. Like it was always, you thought it would be one option. You thought it would be like going to college, playing basketball, playing NBA, playing AFL, but you can get to 19, 20, 23, 24 and there's still so much different varieties of you could go this way, you could be punting, you could be playing a completely different sport. So I think like the example you boys have set for young people growing up is freaking awesome.
Absolutely.
I guess going into like the draft and like the AFL draft experience for both you boys, what was like your experience coming through?
I just got back from America. So I actually just spent a week in San Diego with James Rendell, who's the late Matt Rendell's son. And Matt Rendell actually was the one who called me when I was in America playing basketball. And I think that stemmed from my Dandenong Stingrays who I was playing at. They checked in and asked how everything was going. And I said I was a little homesick. And I think they saw that as some sort of like maybe a chance that they might be able to get me back over. And he just said, all right, cool, good to know. And then 2 days later, I had Matt Rendell call me and he offered me a Category B spot at Collingwood. I think I played one game a year and a half prior, maybe, or 2 years prior to going to America, which made me ineligible. But yeah, I basically got picked up after a mature age season at Stingrays as a 19-year-old in the rookie draft. And I was kind of always going to be a project player. And it just ended very quickly for me. I think I've said to a couple people that asked, I think for me, it was a maturity thing. I had a lot of injuries as well, but, I was getting it was an 8 o'clock meeting, and I'm walking in at 7:56, 7:57, which looks bad as a rookie. So punctuality and just understanding what it is to be in a professional environment, I think probably cost me a spot on the list along with injuries. But yeah, that was kind of my process. Mine was pretty quick. Bill's was a bit longer, and probably Bill was in and out and back in, but mine was very quick.
Yeah, mine was probably a little bit different. As I said, I probably prioritized footy as a kid, and all I ever really wanted to do was play AFL. So I ended up in my top age year at Oakley. I probably, realistically looking back, wasn't really good enough to properly get drafted, but was putting everything into it, and that was sort of my whole identity as a kid. So was lucky enough to get rookie listed at Carlton, and then it was sort of, looking back, probably one of the weirdest times in Carlton history. I think we averaged 16 list changes for the 2 years that I was there, which is just crazy thinking about it now. Like, you look now at AFL teams, and that if they have 9 or 10 list changes, that's a massive year. So yeah, the 2 years that I was there, it was 16, I think, on average. And even the guys that I got drafted with, I think we had 9 guys in my draft year at the end of 2014, 9 guys, whether it was national draft or rookie listed. And then after one season, I think there might have only been two of us left. So Blaine Boakhurst and myself. Or even after our 2 years, I think there was one guy left, which was Blaine, and he only played one more year. So it was obviously it was a crazy time at Carlton. I had 3 coaches in the 2 years. So I had Mick Malthouse, he got sacked halfway through the year, had Johnny Barker, and then had Brendan Bolton for his first year. So there was just so much change, and I guess being so young and, similar to Mitch, probably lacking a little bit of maturity, whether it was football or life maturity, it sort of probably cost me to a certain degree. But I felt like I was slightly hardly done by at the end of the Carlton period, as most guys who sort of finish up in the AFL do. But yeah, I was super, super lucky to be able to get given another opportunity at the Bulldogs the following year. So played a full season of VFL footy with Footscray, and they obviously have such a tight relationship with their AFL team, sort of intertwining a lot of the coaching staff, as well as a lot of the AFL guys that play VFL for the Bulldogs are super invested. Was really, really, really lucky enough to sort of have another go at the Doggies. And
I'm a Doggies man, Bill, and I love Joe. Our medium forward brigade, you, Tory Dixon, Mitchy Wallace had a go there. Brad Johnson all the way back. The medium-sized forwards, that was what the Dogs were known for.
Probably not the best thing to be known for.
I've just got a quick one. I've heard a story about you when Mick was coach, about some penalty session or at the beach one day on Dylan Friends.
Yeah.
Do you mind touching base on what actually happened in that story?
Yeah, well, long story short, we got a 5 a.m. Kerford Road punishment session. So jump off the end of the pier at 5 a.m. and swim back in the middle of winter. And I think I woke up at about 8:35 to 94 missed calls and 74 voicemails. The one most notable was Daisy Thomas had texted me saying, "Mate, I hope you're either dead or you've crashed your car into a tree. And if you haven't, maybe think about doing it." So it was it was probably the most anxious I've ever been for about 3 weeks there. Couldn't look many of the boys or the players or the coaches in the eyes. But we ended up going back the next day at 5 a.m. and got told, "Nah, it's all good, Billy, no stress. We're just going to go back tomorrow and do it." And I just go, "Oh my God, way to make me feel even worse." But I don't think I've been late since.
Well, look, late happens. I literally slept in 2 days ago. I meant to start at 7 and I woke up and it was 7:15 and I was like, oh dear, you still have that.
We slept in for our sunrise interview in America.
Oh my God.
We rocked up a freaking hour and a half late to our...
Feel a bit pissed.
Yeah, yep. You get told, oh yeah, you got to be at Santa Clara at, it was like 11 o'clock or something, and it's an hour and a bit to get to Santa Clara from where we were staying. And we wake up and it's 45 minutes until the interview, and we're like, then we get in an Uber, they're getting a taxi, our card wouldn't work, so the taxi driver drives us the wrong direction and then just
boom.
dumps us in the
Lovely.
middle of nowhere.
Do
And
a
we're
Zoom
calling the
call.
Sunrise people. Yeah, we're calling the Sunrise people. Sorry, we're coming.
Oh,
They
that's
ended up
perfect.
covering they covered our Uber, so can't complain.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Happy
that's
days.
it. We'll jump in a bit about ProKick now for both of yous. I guess we sort of experienced it a couple of weeks ago, which was so much fun with Chappie and
saw
Tommy
that.
and the boys. Yeah. Need any pointers you're gonna give my way?
Hey, you look good, mate. I think you just put all your shit kicks in.
Yeah, that was me. I was editing all these shit kicks in.
Yeah.
The good kicks aren't gonna get comments and make
No.
good content. So, but I guess for you, Bill, and or even you as well, Mitchie, how did you both come across ProKick? And I guess what was the journey and introduction into ProKick?
Yeah, I guess mine was it was sort of out of luck, really. My dad sort of randomly called me middle of the week. One week I was playing for Port Melbourne in the VFL only probably 2 years ago, and sort of just said, "Have you ever considered trying to play American football?" And I just kind of laughed on the end of the phone, and he sort of ran me through it and was like, "Look, I reckon you might as well try." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'll give it a try." See how it goes. I've always been sort of intrigued by it, and I've noticed guys similar to Mitch, looking at guys that have either played AFL previously, like Mitch, or guys that have gone over as Aussies. And I had noticed, obviously, there was a bit of a trend happening in especially college, but also the NFL, that the Aussies were gradually sort of getting over there in force. So I went down just for a one-on-one with the owner of ProKick, who started it, Nathan Chapman. And the way that came about was he played footy back in the day with my old man. I still don't know if it was Brisbane or Hawthorn, but they played together. And yeah, I didn't know that they'd sort of had a bit of a chat previously. And yeah, just went down for a kick on a Wednesday afternoon leading into the last game of the VFL season. And yeah, had kicked probably 10 or so balls, and the rest is sort of history. So I was down there the next week, and instead of having a bit of an off-season break for Aussie rules and having a few weeks off, I was sort of straight into the 3 times a week with ProKick, doing the gym, doing the kicking, and yeah, really changed my mindset towards trying to get over here. So it all happened really, really quickly, but yeah, I'm obviously glad it all eventuated.
What about you, Mitchie?
Yeah, probably similar. I mean, mine was the same thing, like seeing friends that I've played with on football teams previously. The number one kind of person that really got it going was Tory, was at Iowa for 4 years. Now he's at the Bears. I forget. I might have said it to you guys. I just saw him he was posting a lot of stuff on his Instagram, and it was a lot of like trophies, and I'm seeing the crowds, and it's obviously Iowa have huge turnouts every single week, massive football fan base. And I was just like, at that point, I think I was at Port Melbourne, and I was just kind of lost a little bit of love for footy. I'd been in rehab for a while, and I was like, I'm just sick of like trying to get back on the track and then getting hurt again. And I just kind of wanted something a little bit more, I don't know, less taxing on my body. So punting seemed to be the one. And I thought about doing it back in 2018 when I actually got delisted. I actually messaged a couple of universities that I had offers from for basketball and said that I was interested. And then that kind of rolled into ProKick and kind of fizzled out. And then seeing Tory again doing it in about 2020, I messaged him through COVID, kind of end of 2020 going into 2021. And he just said, mate, it's the best decision I've ever made. Like, you've got a good enough leg, go do it, go give it a crack for sure. So I did that, and that's cool. Kind of, I needed it to get me going, and went down and had a few sessions similar to Bill. And yeah, I think they're pretty good at identifying kind of who has a good enough leg. And the thing is, if you can't spiral, you can always roll out kick drop punts. So, and a lot of us boys are capable of that. So yeah, and then got UCF in 4 or 5 months and headed over on the 6-month mark and got over there in June. So yeah, a bit of a, like Bill mentioned, that it happens very quickly. It does, like, and ProKick did say that, like, this will all happen very quickly. And, I blinked and I was in Orlando in fall camp. So the thing with ProKick is if you get in and get a school quick, it happens so fast, and it can actually be a bit overwhelming, but it's certainly worth it. Like, I wouldn't change it for anything.
The thing I love about both of your stories is you've played AFL, you've gone then to the VFL. So many people then, when the VFL sort of simmers out, would just go, I'm going to go play local footy, go get a job with that, get paid a heap of cash and just sort of fizzle. Personally, I play local footy and I speak to a lot of people that, they're just after a big pay packet and they're just something to do on the side. But for you both to then, I guess, go, I want to sort of chase something with a bit of purpose again and learn something completely new is a total credit to you. I guess what was the biggest challenge for both of you with chasing ProKick? I pack your life. There's so many things, but just give us like a couple of really key things that I guess were hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bill and I have kind of a different outlook on it, maybe. Bill at least got 30, 40 AFL games. I got none. So I got drafted and like I had a lot of promising kind of when I was getting recruited and I was telling Bill the other day, like, and it still feels weird to say this, I interviewed with 14 clubs, I think. 14 or 15 clubs, came to my house. I sat down and I interviewed with them, which as a 19-year-old kid, you feel like a superstar. And then, so like in my head, I have a picture of what my career is going to look like. And to be delisted after a year, I just feel like I had a lot more to give. And my body kind of just couldn't keep up with the load of football, my knees. I just couldn't. So then like I was looking at basically hanging up the boots and being like, all right, look, I guess I get a job now. And it was kind of depressing for me to be like, to have so much promising feedback from coaches and scouts and recruiters and then not being able to show it. And that's disappointing. So for me, I was like, my only chance really is punting. So for me, I didn't even think didn't even hesitate, went with it, did it. Whereas, Bill's might be a bit different.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the most sort of challenging things whilst I was sort of initially in ProKick was I was obviously playing VFL and really enjoying my footy, but I also had recently started my own business in the barbershop. So I was trying to manage staff. I was trying to sort of retain and maintain a clientele on my own behalf. So cutting hair sort of 50 hours a week on your feet which I didn't actually realize before I got into it. It's physically and mentally super draining and energy zapping. So I was obviously trying to cut hair full time, manage a new shop, trying to build a clientele, trying to build a brand. And then just out of the blue, this opportunities come. So trying to sort of manage people close to me as well as, my staff, as well as the VFL team that I was playing for, Port Melbourne. I was trying to manage a lot of sort of relationships and expectations in terms of my working and football lives, whilst also it almost felt as if I was living a double life. Like I had to kind of keep ProKick a bit quiet because I didn't want it to sort of get out that I was potentially going to be moving. So yeah, I think for me it was super challenging, maintaining and keeping everybody happy whilst also on the side probably knowing I'm probably going to be moving to America very soon. So yeah, it was certainly challenging, but something that I definitely don't regret.
Perfect. We'll jump into a little bit about Hawaii, I guess, if you want to go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I guess, mate, arriving as a freshman in Hawaii, were you 29 freshman season when you first got there?
Yeah, I think I'd just had my birthday just before I got there. So obviously being a bit older was certainly interesting. Got a few sort of turns of the head as soon as I arrived, and a lot of the guys couldn't really understand why I was doing it or how I was doing it. Yeah, it was obviously so different to living in Australia and playing American football. It's just so different. Like you're on the sidelines and the big guys who weigh 350 pounds, 150, 160 kilos are just helmets, pads, whacking each other. And I'm used to watching the ball get fed out by hands, outside wingers and a bit of free-flowing footy. So it was certainly an eye-opener from the start. But, it was probably the perfect introduction for me for college football.
Mate, that's incredible. We spoke to so many Americans over there and just talked about the difference between football and AFL. And I think they were just as shocked to see, because a lot of them think it's rugby. Like you boys would be so sick of it hearing about people saying, "Oh, it's rugby."
Well, they call it. Well, they don't. Well, when they call it like the rugby, they call it a rugby kick or a rugby rollout or a rugby punt.
Drop punt. They call it a rugby kick.
A rugby kick or a rugby punt.
And I'm like, no. Yeah, that's not it, mate. It's an AFL.
I think they'd be shocked to know that 99% of the Aussies that come over here that are punters are AFL players, not rugby players.
we were trying to explain that to so many Americans over there.
They don't understand it all.
But AFL doesn't exist to them. Like, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
That'd be like if I told you, came up with a random sport that you'd never heard of. You'd be like, I've literally never heard of it. It doesn't exist. So, like, I don't expect them to say, oh, that's a drop punt. So they don't even know it exists.
So crazy. I guess, Bill, mate, you burst onto the scene at Hawaii. I remember seeing it all over social media this week, your 67-yard punt on your debut. Run us through what that one felt like, mate.
Sort of. It was good to get the first kick out of the way. It was actually a complete mung. I fully mishit the hell out of it, but we were way downwind, so the returner didn't actually catch it, and it just bounced. So it ended up being my equal biggest kick for the year, but it was it was definitely my worst connection of the ball. So it was nice to get it out of the way, and it was an incredible game to sort of debut in. We played against Stanford, and can't say the Tokyo Toe kicked a after the siren field goal. What's that called? End of the game.
Like, they call it a walk-off, I think.
Yeah, walk-off field goal.
walk-off.
So the crowd went absolutely nuts, and it was amazing. It was so good.
It's so crazy, man. I was looking at like your travel schedule from Hawaii, like the flight from Hawaii to get to Stanford, which is just outside of San Francisco. It's like 5 or 6 hours. Is that like every second week? Are you guys traveling that far on a plane?
Yeah, so obviously every second to third week we'd sort of travel, and I can't remember exactly what distance was for what teams we played, but we played against Air Force, which was in Colorado. We played against Colorado State. We played San Jose State, which is in California. So there was a couple of trips. I think there was one that might have been a 7-hour flight, or we had a stopover somewhere. But you just kind of, for me personally, it wasn't that difficult as a punter. You just need to, warm the body up and you can still kick. But for some of these big guys, as I said, they're 150, 160 kilos and 6'6", 6'8", and they're crammed into a plane chair. So for them, it's probably a lot harder to be able to travel. But as a punter, it's still difficult. But it's I was pretty used to it with the AFL travel and having to run so much after a plane ride. So for me, it wasn't too dissimilar. But for some of the big guys, it certainly takes a bit of a toll.
Mate, so crazy. And Hawaii is so different to anywhere else in America. As you're probably already sick of people saying, oh, how's the weather changed since getting to Indiana? But what is like life in Hawaii actually like?
Hawaii is an incredible place, and something that we probably didn't know before we got there was just how sort of family orientated and health orientated it is. Even being in Indiana now, it's just so different to here. So, it's 30 degrees almost every single day, whether it's winter or summer. It's just beautiful weather. You've got incredible beaches. You've got really nice golf courses. Yeah, it's just an amazing sort of place. And even the university it's obviously situated on Oahu, which is Honolulu, but everywhere you go is someone's sort of interested in sport and football particularly. So yeah, it was an incredible place to sort of get integrated into the college football scene and to firstly move over to America. But yeah, as you said, it feels like a completely different place to mainland, which it obviously is.
What's your golf handicap?
I actually don't have one over here, but yeah, back in Oz, would play a little bit with a few boys. I think I left it on about 7 or 8, but over here we haven't really played at all. It's been snowing.
It's been snowing. You can't really play golf in 3 inches of snow.
Be pretty hard to find the ball.
Exactly right.
Just got to say, I'll lose a ball on a green course all of that playing in snow.
Correct. That's what I was just saying.
So the transfer to Indiana, how did it all come about? I guess, was it difficult to leave Hawaii? How did it all come about?
Yeah, 100%. It was difficult. It was obviously, so my partners come over here with me. So it was, it was definitely a difficult decision, but one that probably stemmed from a football decision in terms of wanting to eventually, hopefully, go to another level with my punting and the American football. So to play in a big conference like the Big Ten and play in front of big crowds and be a part of a championship team, I guess, was super appealing to me. But yeah, obviously, it wasn't a decision that overnight I just decided randomly I want to enter the transfer portal. It was sort of it was over a number of weeks, and I was super lucky that Hawaii were super understanding and somewhat a little bit supportive in terms of me wanting to chase my goals. And something that I'll be grateful for a long time is how good they were to me and how well they sort of treated us over there. So it's a place that we definitely miss, but it is what it is.
What was your role in getting Bill across, Mitch? How much did you have to do with that?
I guess, the coaches kind of, as you move into the next season, and it happens pretty early, basically, it's not as fancy as you think it is. They just say, let me know if you know any punters. So my first thought was, ProKick, I always go for the ProKick boys. They're probably the most ready to go. And first thing I did was kind of reach out to Bill and just said, hey, mate, you interested? And it was just like a informal kind of just wondering, because Bill could have quite easily said, no, I'm actually really happy here. I got everything I want. This is where I want to be, et cetera, et cetera. But I kind of just reached out, and Bill kind of didn't really give me much at the start. And I basically just spoke to my coaches and just said, he's a guy you might want to look at, and then just left the rest up to them. That's I didn't really do much. ProKick probably facilitated it more than I did, but I kind of just reached out to Bill off the bat, and that's about it.
Nice. You played a little bit of a role.
A little bit, yeah. That's what I tell people. That's what I tell people.
Bill, as Mitchie knows, we're big Coach Sig fans. How was the meeting of Coach Sig, and have you got any good stories with your induction with Coach Cignetti?
Met him yet?
No, I haven't really met him face to face, but as I was saying, maybe 2 or 3 days after they won the Natty, they brought in all the transfers and the new guys and sort of stood up there and had maybe a 15-second little spiel to us new guys and pretty much just said, there's not many rules here, just be where you need to be and do what you're told, sort of. So
he's like the old couple Aussie coaches I've had. It's just the old "don't be a dickhead" policy.
Pretty much. But yeah, I haven't really seen him since. So obviously he's got pretty important stuff to sort of work out. And to be honest, as a player, I hope he's having a bit of a rest, which he's probably not. But I hope he's sort of rejuvenating and re-energizing. And
I don't know if you boys saw, there was something that came up the other day, and I consume whatever pops up in my feed. I don't necessarily follow a heap of football pages, but I think he did an interview or a private interview. It was a couple of weeks ago or a month ago or something. And he was just saying, how much time when you're in the office, how much time do you spend watching film? And he said 90% of his time he spends watching film. So, and I think that's overs for most college coaches. Even the real hardcore coaches, I'd be curious to see what the Kirby Smarts and all that kind of do. But I mean, he was one of the coaches that came out from the who's the bloody Nick Saban. I think he had a bunch of guys. I think was Cristobal from Miami. Was he Nick Saban as well? So a lot of those guys, most of them were in the playoffs. So I think they all have very similar habits. But yeah, Sig reckons he spends 90% of his time in the facility watching film. So clearly it works.
Yeah, certainly does. I guess the other thing that I think really intrigues Aussies, and it intrigues us as well, we were just over at the University of Cal, spent a bit of time with Angus Davies sort of going through the facilities. I guess seeing 2 facilities now, Bill, how's that compare to what we have back home and the AFL systems in terms of their facilities there and all that stuff?
Yeah, Mitch can probably add in if he needs to or correct me if I'm wrong. I'd say they're definitely Indiana's are a lot better than an AFL club, and for a few different reasons. I think a college football team, they've got 110 guys on their playing list, so they need a lot more space and a bigger gym and all this kind of stuff. But there's also just a hell of a lot more sort of donors and money involved, and it's a university. How many students are you? 40, 50,000?
Yeah,
it's a hell of a lot of people, and the whole of Bloomington is sort of living or operating here in Bloomington purely for the fact of the University of India or Indiana University. So there's a lot of support and a lot of expectations on not only the football team, but we're a big basketball school as well. So all the athletic departments and the sporting teams have incredible facilities.
Yeah, and a big part of recruiting over here, I don't know how many universities you've been to, is the facilities tour. So a lot of guys don't care how good the program is, but if you've got a really cool gym and a really cool locker room with a cool players lounge, like you got my furniture. So that's a lot of that. A lot of the recruiting happens from the, like, a lot of these boys signed because it's got great facilities. So
it's a bit of a dick swinging contest. Who's got the best facilities?
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Putting a bit of I guess, what's the expectations for this next season, Bill? Like, very early on in the prep, but where do you see Indiana football this year?
It's a very open-ended question. I'll be honest, I don't know a hell of a lot about any of the transfers or the new guys, or, I don't really know a hell of a lot about football probably, but what I do know is we're training 6 days a week and it's tough, and the coaches are setting a really good example, and the players have really bought in, and even the guys returning, like, for me, it was pretty eye-opening. They've just won the national championship, and the guys who weren't playing in that game had 1 week off, and the guys who were had 2 weeks off. If you're playing in the AFL grand final, you've got 10 to 12 weeks off of literally no contact with the club. These guys, they're kids, like they're full-on, full-time students at school, and they're coming back to train 6 days a week, 2 weeks later. So the buy-in is 100% there, and it's obviously a long time into our first game, but we're doing a lot of work at the moment, so it's exciting.
Awesome. We'll wrap it up then. I think don't want to take you too much longer from your winery tour. We just do a little
The
bit
girls
of
keep looking over at us, staring at us.
we'll just do a rapid fire. You can run through it, Jamie.
Awesome. Well, just a quick little rapid fire. I think we already did this one with you, Mitchy, but if any of your answers have changed, mate, if you've gone from Palmy to Palmer, feel free to correct yourself.
He can take it.
I
He can take it.
Awesome. So, Bill, do you have like a growing up, were you a Hawks fan, AFL, NRL?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, big Hawks man.
Both Hawks, man, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
How good's that? Do you have an NRL team?
Definitely not.
I've never watched a game before.
No, definitely not.
That makes 4 of us, I think. I don't think anyone would ever spoken to.
Why would you?
We might. Yeah, 100%. We might get rid of that question as well. Since coming to Hawaii and living in the States, Billy, what's your Aussie food you miss the most?
We were talking today about, we had a burger last night and we really miss grilled.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best
A mighty Melbourne from
mighty
grilled.
Melbourne, or a crispy bacon and cheese. They're pretty unbeatable.
Good shout.
Best American takeaway?
Chipotle?
I was going to say Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Chipotle is pretty good. Taco Bell's
obviously crap. Taco Bell's crap, but it's just so good.
I think we both gave. Yeah.
I think we had Chipotle about 4 times out of the 7 days I was in the States.
Yeah. So good. It's good. It's good stuff. And it's cheap too.
Yeah.
Biggest crowd you've played in front of?
Over here, I think we played Arizona. It might have been 45, potentially. I actually don't know. Got no idea.
And best teammate you've ever had, mate?
Over here, can't say Matsuzawa, the Tokyo Toe.
I loved following you on your socials, and used to just had that like irrebreakable bond. It was always great to watch.
Yeah, we're both pretty lucky that we were old bastards doing our thing. So we're lucky, very lucky.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we'll wrap it up, fellas. We can't thank you both enough for jumping on. It's honestly incredible hearing about your story and about the successes in Indiana there. And Billy, mate, we're wishing you all the best going forward this season. We can't wait to go watch you follow Mitchy's footsteps and kill it. And Mitch, mate.
And I was going to say, Adam, congratulations on getting to the Super Bowl, mate.
Thank you.
Good. Oh, I don't know how you pulled that one off, but well done.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild. Now we just keep planning our next trips. We're just coming over and
now
over.
You got to find your next high
every year.
Yeah.
Jamie's next year.
Yeah, that's it. We're coming back to the draft. Yeah. So fingers crossed we can make some magic happen there.
Happy days. let us know if you're in Indiana at all.
Yeah, we're sort of trying to plan our trip now. If we don't get to Indiana this time, we will for sure, Bill, because we're sort of going to try and just keep sending these trips over and, mainly for us and our content, but for other people that want to jump on board as well.
Cool.
Happy days. Thanks for having us, boys.
Love your
Thanks,
work, boys. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Good one.
Cheers, like.